Another marvelous Monday in New England. I'm Ted A. Here are some historic facts that happened on November 1st. In 1765, the Stamp Act goes into effect. 1900, John Adams is the first U.S. president to live in the White House. In 1848, classes begin at the first United States Female Medical College in Boston. In 1870, the United States Weather Bureau begins operations with 24 locations. In 1915, Paris Island is officially designated as a U.S. Marine Corps recruit depot. In 1950, Puerto Rican nationalists attempt to assassinate Harry Truman at Blair House. The WCRN News is brought to you by John the Roofer, a leader in the roofing and home improvements business for more than 70 years. Call 866-906-ROOF or go to the internet and see johnTheRoofer.com.
The following is a paid program. The opinions are those of the guests and not necessarily those of the station or its management.
All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome to the very first Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show on AM 830 WCRN, our affiliates, and of course, live streaming on the TuneIn app from the Boxtrop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. You can follow us on all social media platforms at Joe Mangi Show, M-A-N-G-I, Joe Mangi Show. You can also join the conversation at any time in the next hour at 508-871-7000. That's 508-871-7000. We also have a text line up and running, 617-297-8388. Operate like any other text, like you would text anybody. Just use the number 617-297-8388. If you don't have the ability to text, that's okay. Actually, email me at textjoeontheradio, exactly what you're doing. Textjoeontheradio at gmail.com. It appears on the same screen. We're also live streaming on our Facebook page, more importantly, on our YouTube page, The Joe Mangiacotti Show. So if you go there, you have a live stream. The audio is there. You can see into the studio, but the important thing is several ways to listen to the audio, including telling Alexa to play WCRN, and she'll do that. No questions asked. All right. This is the first Monday show for the last many, many years. I've been anchoring the weekend mornings, first Saturdays with Mike Wade for years, and then Saturday and Sunday for the last few years solo, and now we have Mondays at 1 o'clock. So for those of you that never could quite get the beginning of the shows on the weekend mornings, no problem, tune in. But you can listen to all of our past shows at a website, tjmshow.com. The podcasts are there. We're on SoundCloud. So any show in the past several years is up online, so it's not like you can miss it. Good morning, Jazz. Or afternoon, see?
Yeah,
I defaulted to morning,
right?
right? Good afternoon, Jazz. So Jazz is flying the board on Mondays, and usually, I guess, we didn't, Sundays now. You're on every other Sunday.
Yep, I'm going to do every other Sundays and every Monday.
So we'll be, than we have been in a long time. That's awesome.
Yes, ever since I've been doing my Saturdays, right?
Yeah, exactly. So here we are Monday afternoons. Probably a whole new audience of people who we may not have ever reached on the Joe Mangiacotti Show before, or maybe you've heard it, but never in its entirety. So this is opening up a whole new listenership, I hope, and that you can you feel free to join us at 508-871-7000 at any time. What I do is we talk about the political landscape and what's going on out there. The mantra for the show has always been, and this started back with Conservatively Speaking, common sense conversation for the common sense citizen. We're not extremely one party or the other party. It's really what is the best for American people. I personally consider myself a constitutional conservative, a Lincoln Republican, if you will. I believe in small government, in local government. I think that many things are left or should be left to the local level, not federalized. We don't have one big, large election for, say, the presidency. We have 50 small elections that take place simultaneously throughout the country. And that's the way it should be. They shouldn't be federalized. They should be done by states, and the states should follow their constitution on elections, which means no last minute changes. And the integrity of the elections are very important. Now we have an election tomorrow, where we have mayors being elected and local races across the Commonwealth happening. Worcester will elect a new mayor. Framingham, it became a city. It had its first mayor, Mayor Spicer, took her position, and now they have an opportunity to either keep her or change the helmsmanship of Framingham, than one of the newest cities in the country. Boston, right? It's coming down to two females, Wu, who we learn and we understand to be kind of a Elizabeth Warren sanctioned person. She worked in Elizabeth Warren's office. Apparently, she feels anointed to go forward and maybe eventually fill that Senate seat. I don't know. So I'm going to do this. It's the day before the election, and I'll put it out there that any candidate running for an office in tomorrow's election is welcome to call in and give their name and what they're running for and why they should be considered. Why should we vote them? For their vote. Let them ask for their vote. Why choose you over someone else? Some of these races, a lot of people don't pay attention. Now, we have seen what's going on. We've been watching what's going on in Virginia. And Virginia is a bellwether election tomorrow. This governor's race in Virginia has many layers to it, and it means a lot on a bunch of different levels. Terry McAuliffe, in if you don't understand in Virginia, you can be governor twice. You just can't consecutively be governor. So you can't run for 2 terms in a row. You can be a governor and step out a term and then come back and run again, and you're welcome to get elected for the second time. So this is his second time at the governor's office there. And so for Virginia, it would be the second term, again, not consecutive. In Youngstown, the Republican running, McAuliffe's trying to paint him as a Trump disciple. And they're trying to run against Trump. Right? Joe Biden went to stump for this McAuliffe guy last Thursday. And 24 times in his speech, he referred to or mentioned Trump. Trump's not running for governor in Virginia, folks. But they're latching on to this because the issue that has become the center of this campaign in Virginia is education. Education, a subject that the Democrats have always held. They always were arrogant in that they thought that they had the high ground in education. And the progressives in that party have gone so far that they've lost that grip. And you've got Terry McAuliffe not long ago, a matter of weeks ago, in a debate saying that parents shouldn't be the primary factor in determining their children's education, that the school should. So he's saying government will decide what your children are taught, how they're taught, what information they're given, how it's given to them, not the parent. Well, as one might expect, that doesn't sit well with parents. Not at all. And he's doubled down on it a few times, and then he tried to walk it back. Whereas Youngstown is pointing out, no, it's the parent is the primary factor in determining a child's education, and it should be that way. And then we've seen 10,000 students taken out of the Virginia school systems, either moved out of Virginia or moved to private educations. So parents are speaking with their feet in their wallet as much as they are going to at the polls tomorrow. Now, given all things being equal, and the polls are, let's just say they have integrity at the polls for tomorrow. You have Youngstown, who went from a 12-point deficit, 12 points behind Terry McAuliffe, a matter of weeks ago, to currently an 8-point lead in polls. Other polls have them at a dead heat. So what happens tomorrow would be, one, Virginia goes back to a Republican governor, which would ripple through the country because it's gone blue for a while. Plus, you had the president of the United States, the former president, Barack Obama, the vice president. You had big hitters in the Democratic Party campaigning for Terry McAuliffe. But will it do the trick? Donald Trump didn't. Now, Donald Trump is doing a video rally today. I think at 3 o'clock. I have to check on that. He's doing a video rally today for Youngstown, to get out there and vote Republican. But Youngstown's not going to be with him at it, not going to be part of it. But it will ripple through the country because it's a major foreshadowing for the 2022 elections and, of course, the 2024 elections. Well, welcome to my first Monday show, the Joe Mangiacotti Show, now here on Mondays, every Monday at 1 o'clock. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Again, that's 508-871-7000. You can also join us via our text line at 617-297-8388. We're going to take a quick break. Come back on the other side. And if you're a candidate, call in. Tell us who you are and why we should vote for you. Back in a moment.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers 1-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click Levante'sAutoschool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 877 Drive Ed. Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
I want to tell you what Cantiani Insurance has been able to do for me and Teddy. We stopped in to see Paul Sr. and the great staff at 318 Plantation Street. They've been handling my car and business insurance for years. Teddy was making his way around the office, and they let me know. They now offer pet insurance. For a fraction of what one visit to the vet was for Teddy, they could cover him for a whole year. I know you treat your furry family members like any other family member, and as well as I do Teddy. The professional staff at Cantiani's has been providing courteous service for over 40 years with integrity and personalized service, making sure that your insurance actually with 2 locations, the 318 Plantation Street in Worcester and East Douglas Insurance Agency, located at 306 Main Street in Douglas. For home, auto, business insurance, and now pet insurance, click CantianiAgency.com or call 508-791-2088. 508-791-2088.
Hey folks, Joe Mangiacotti here, and I have recently purged and refreshed with new furniture and, most importantly, a new bed. We spend about a third of our life on our mattresses, and it's so vital we have the right one and we don't break the bank to do that. I first bought a mattress from the big store the brothers used to own and a power base that moved the head and feet, and then I met John and I checked out his showroom at 50 Main Street in Ashland and online at boxdropmiddlesex.com and ended up with a better mattress, a power base that also heats and massages, all for less than half of what I was going to spend at the other place. Mattress store, and John specializes in clearance and closeouts, and he buys directly from the manufacturer with a low overhead and just family employees passing the savings on to you, and you can see it reflected in the price every day. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or call John on his cell. This is his cell number, 508-579-9303. That's 508-579-9303, and you can find John on Facebook at Boxdrop Middlesex. John loves referrals, and this is the best referral I've given so far this year. Dropboxmiddlesex.com.
If you enjoy listening to Full Service Radio AM 830 WCRN, don't forget you can stream WCRN on your computer or on your phone at WCRNradio.com and on your Amazon Alexa by saying, "Alexa, listen to WCRN." On the radio, in your car, on your computer or phone. We are Full Service Radio AM 830 WCRN.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388 or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. Sharks have a week dedicated to him. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the second segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Buckstrap Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I'm Joe Mangiacotti. Don't forget, we're live streaming on our YouTube channel, Joe Mangiacotti Show. So check it out, as well as Alexa and the TuneIn app. Just punch in WCRN in TuneIn there. You can take us anywhere, as well as tuning into AM 830, as well as AM 730, our affiliate in the western part of the state. 508-871-7000. Phones are up and running, so join the conversation. Again, 508-871-7000. And I'm inviting any candidate who's on the ballot tomorrow, counselor, school committee, mayor, etc. You can take this opportunity to call in and state who you are, what you're running for, and why people should consider you in this particular election.
And we were having technical difficulties with the phones in the first segment, but we should be up and running now.
Oh, okay. Good to know. All right. So the phones are working. So you're welcome to call in 508-871-7000. Boston has a big race because, of course, Marty Walsh went on to become Secretary of Labor. That's a whole nother discussion for another show, I guess. So here we are tomorrow, November 2nd. They'll either Michelle Wu, who's at large city councilor. She's a Roslindale resident, and Anessa George. She's also an at-large city councilor from Dorchester. So it's down to these two, and Wu is a, Elizabeth Warren disciple, if you will. George, I'm not so much. I mean, what are you going to get with these two? I mean, they're both Democrats. Their platforms, from what I can tell, I haven't done a deep dive here, are fairly close. So anybody has a comment they want to put out there on either Wu or George, welcome to it. In Worcester, of course, we have Mayor Petty and Donna Colorio, who's challenging the mayor seat in Worcester. And we, like I said, we have other candidates, and candidates are welcome to call in at 508-871-7000 to state who they are and what they're running for. So let me go to the phones. Which one? We have a Greg. Jazz, we want to go for 5th District. I don't hear you, so. All right, let's go to Greg. All right, Greg Stratman, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I you know what? 14, almost 15 years of early mornings. I just automatically say good morning when I'm behind this microphone. I have to get used to the afternoon show now. Good afternoon, Greg. You are Greg Stratman. Tell our listeners who you are and what you're running for.
I'm candidate for District 5 City Council. A quick bio on me. I'm 65 years old. I just retired last October after 37 years service to the Mass State Police. I've raised 9 children, 7 boys, 2 girls. I have 15 grandchildren, and we currently have 4 great-grandchildren. Wow. And I'm running. Go ahead, sir.
No, I just said, wow. Wow, you're really saturating the DNA pool there, Greg.
Wow, I haven't heard it described that way before, but yeah, okay.
Wow, okay. Congratulations, 15 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren. That's fantastic. And how long were you on the Mass State Police?
37 years.
37 years. Quick question, can I ask you? A lot of troopers have because of mass mandates, have stepped off. Where do you come down on that as far as, I'm not asking about pro-vax or anti-vax. No, just the mandate part of it. Do you think it's something that troopers should be mandated to put something into their bodies?
No, I do not.
Okay, good. Glad to hear that. So, guys, so you're running for 5th District in Worcester.
Yes.
All right. And what area does that cover or take up?
I'll tell you, it's a large surprise at the area of it land-wise. It runs from Cherry Valley, the Leicester line, right up to Holden.
Wow.
And it goes from the airport, because it contains the airport.
Okay.
And it goes south over to the Auburn line, and over by, not too far from Holy Cross, which is where I live also.
Okay.
So we got a good chunk of that, and we go up Park Avenue to Chandler Street.
That is a big area, man. That's a lot of real
really
estate.
Is.
Okay. Let me ask you, why did you run? What made you get involved in politics at this point in your life?
Well, one of the major things, of course, what helps us, I have time. I am retired. I'm the only retired candidate, I think, in any race in the city this year. And so I can't constituents. I don't have time for them. I've definitely got time.
Yeah.
I threw my hat in because I moved here about 18 years ago from Auburn. And I did that because the tax rate was much more attractive at that time. And my wife and I could afford more house for the money. And having a large family, of course, that made all the sense in the world. And we, after searching many homes in Worcester, many areas, we settled on over here on the south side. And we found what we needed in a lovely neighborhood.
Yep.
All my neighbors here are just super. And we settled right here, and we've been happy here ever since.
Okay. Now, have you been a student of Worcester politics in the 18 years you've been here? Have you been following it closely?
I just started maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, really looking at it, but not as close as I did last year and this year, because being retired, I had the time. Many assignments that I had when I was working before, I was on different parts of the state for periods of time.
Sure.
So I wasn't able to really look at things closely as I would like to, but I have now.
Let me ask you, Greg, was there one catalyst, one thing that was the tipping point, caused the water to go over the edge, broke the camel's back? Was there one thing that said, you know what, I'm going to run. I'm going to run because I need to do something. Was there one thing that made you do that?
Well, of course, the tax rate got my attention first, naturally.
Yeah.
But on top of that is one point that absolutely nobody in Worcester will argue over: the condition of our infrastructure and our roads. We've got.
Wow.
I had an elderly lady put her finger at the end of my nose, and she said, "You, sir, will be a one-timer if you don't fix the roads."
Listen to those older voters, because they actually vote, Greg. They get out and they vote.
They do.
I got to say, and now I'm recently not a Worcester resident, Greg. Within a couple months, moved out of Worcester after moving to Worcester in January of 1995. So it was a good period of time, part of the Worcester structure there. And I got to agree with that. I had a couple different a house and a couple different condos in my time in Worcester, and I got to tell you, only recently did I notice some of the streets getting some attention. So that's an interesting thing. I don't know what it is, the stimulus money or what it is that came down, but it seemed like roads that hadn't been fixed in many years and were falling apart just started to get done. And of course, I'm talking up near the Rotary, right? Because so much has been done because of the ballpark.
Yeah, a lot of it. They got a huge infrastructure bill for the Blue Sox coming up. I think it was like 250,000 or something.
Well, probably more than that, because 250,000 is about 20 feet.
I meant 250 million.
Sorry. I was going to say, in Massachusetts, that's literally a few years.
No, I think it was the biggest grant that Massachusetts ever got for infrastructure.
So I noticed it before leaving Worcester that all of a sudden roads were getting repaired and fixed, and I assumed that had to do with a big influx of grant money or earmarked money for that. So it was the tax rate and the infrastructure of Worcester. What are some of the biggest things that are other than roads? Do we talk about infrastructure in Worcester?
Well, that being the piping underneath the roads, because if you're not going to fix the gas mains and the water mains that seem to bust whenever they want to now.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do anything about that, it doesn't make sense to pave and stripe the road and then dig it up 3 months later.
You're putting a lipstick on a pig at that point, right? I mean,
Exactly.
you're covering it up and you're not fixing the real issue underneath, and that's something. And Worcester, I'm assuming Worcester has incredibly old water infrastructure, right? Water lines, sewer lines. We're an old city. We're one of I mean, Worcester.
Think of how many 3-deckers feed off those old pipes.
Good point there, right? I mean, we also the home of the 3-deckers. So I mean, you go down a lot of roads in Worcester, it's 3 times the family for each lot. So there's a lot of strain, a lot of pressure on our infrastructure. That's a great issue to run on. How is the campaign going? Is this your first foray into politics, Greg?
Yes, it is.
All right.
It's my first time ever.
So you're learning a lot, I'm assuming.
Yes, I am. I'm learning a lot daily.
Yeah. All right.
Daily.
And how is the organization, and has the fundraising been?
Fundraising is an absolute constant.
Yeah.
Especially for a candidate like me, a first-timer in a small organization. They tell me that the only 2 jobs a candidate's supposed to have are to get votes and raise money.
It's true.
But when you're in a small organization, you end up wearing a few more hats than that.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It keeps you going every single day.
Right.
But it's worth the trouble. And you get out and meet the people. I'm an old-fashioned campaigner. I door knock. I'm still door knocking.
Okay.
And I think the people more than likely they prefer that, and I do too because I like meeting people.
Yeah. Well, they love it. Hey, we're gonna have to take a break. So tell people where they can find you online or how to call you or get a hold of you before we have to break.
I have a website, GregoryStratman.com. You can find my bio, my phone number, my email, everything that you need to find. A donation link if you want to. And I believe my address is on there also.
All right. Greg, thanks for calling in. I appreciate you're actually the dubious distinction of the first caller into the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show. So thank you, Greg, and good luck tomorrow. Good luck tomorrow. And
I
if you
appreciate
win,
that very much.
And if you win, we expect you back here on Saturday morning.
Well, you're kind enough to ask me the first time. I'm certainly going to come back again.
All right. Take care. All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a few moments. Stick with us here on the Joe Mangiacotti Show.
Justices raise serious questions. I'm Tim McGuire with an AP News Minute. A number of Supreme Court justices, both liberal and conservative, are raising concerns about how the Texas legislature came up with private citizens enforcing the state's new restrictive abortion law. State Solicitor General Judd Stone says state and local officials.
From the Boston Independence Group Weather Center, call Jerry Doherty today at 877-772-1776. Retirement is within reach.
I'm meteorologist Sherry Spear, and here's the latest Boston 25 weather on Radio 830 WCRN. Looking great this afternoon. We're going to see some mostly sunny skies out there, just a little bit of a breeze with us, and high temperatures in the mid and the upper 50s in central Mass, upper 50s to lower 60s in eastern Mass for today. Now from here, it is going to get a lot colder, especially during the overnights. We're expecting lows back into 30s, so you're going to wake up to that tomorrow morning, followed by highs in the mid 50s for Tuesday. I'm Sherry Spear, and you can hear Boston 25 live for the morning drive weekdays on AM 830 WCRN.
Another marvelous Monday in New England. I'm Ted A. Here are some historic facts that happened on November 1st. In 1765, the Stamp Act goes into effect. In 1800, John Adams is the first U.S. president to live in the White House. In 1848, classes begin at the first United States Female Medical College in Boston. In 1870, the United States Weather Bureau begins operations with 24 locations. In 1915, Parris Island is officially designated as a U.S. Marine Corps recruit depot. In 1950, Puerto Rican nationalists attempt to assassinate Harry Truman at Blair House. The WCRN News
You're listening
is
to
brought
the Joe
you by
Mangiacotti
John
Show
the
on
Roofer,
Powerhouse
a leader
Station
in the roofing and home
WCRN and our
improvements
affiliates.
business
To talk
for
to
more
Joe,
than
dial
70 years. Call 866-906-ROOF or go to the internet and see johntheRoofer.com.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. 08871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388 or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. His tears cure cancer. Too bad he never cries. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Joe Mangiacotti Show, Monday edition from the Box Drop Mattress Outlet Studios. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. The lines are open and available, so tune in. 508-871-7000. And I'm putting it out there to all of the candidates. We have elections tomorrow, so if you're running in Framingham, Worcester, Boston, doesn't matter. If you'd like to call in and just state your name and the office that you're running for, and you have a pitch as to why people should vote for you. You got that plug, just like you heard Greg Stratman did it, who's running for the 5th district in Worcester. Good luck to that, Greg. I hope you do well in that, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, interesting point, Jazz, is that he's retired now, and he has the time, right? He said he can never tell his constituents, I don't have time for you. Good point to make. 508-871-7000. So, hey, President Biden is in Glasgow because of the climate change. Now, he didn't get the legislation, the bill he wanted passed before he headed out there. And he was talking to, I don't know if you were able to catch it. I caught some of it just before coming on the air, his speech there. Again, there was a couple times he kind of lost his, he ran out of gas a little bit, right? You could see that happening. He was getting a little tired, losing his place a little bit. But I was trying to figure out what it is that he's trying to say, because he doesn't have this legislation. It didn't pass. And regardless of what we do in the United States, when China and India and other nations don't pull in their carbon footprint, it doesn't really matter. You're tying one hand behind a corporate America. And I don't understand what it is that they think they're achieving by just taxing us. That's not going to fix the problem. President Trump took us out of the Paris Accord, and yet our CO2 levels dropped more than what the Accord called for. And this comes down to the basic principle that I believe in, that is government, get out of the way. You set the guidelines, keep a level playing field, and usually get out of the way. Because the innovation for electric cars, it's going to come from private industry that will figure out how to create batteries that will get multi hundreds, if not 1,000 miles out of a charge. But when we talk about this clean energy stuff, solar cells and batteries aren't all that clean. So let's go to the phones, 508-871-7000. We'll go to Mark first in Worcester, and probably, hey Mark, welcome to the Monday show. First time you calling Joe Mangiacotti Show on a Monday.
Well, somebody had to break the ice. You know what I mean, buddy?
I appreciate that, man. You can always count on you.
Anyways, I'm watching Channel 25. I'm not making this stuff up. Mainstream media, Channel 25 morning news out of Boston. They're in front of a Gulf station, right? Gulf. And it was somewhere in one of the suburbs here in the People's Republic of Massachusetts. And the price was $3.45 a gallon. I just want to reiterate that $3.45 a gallon. Don't be shocked, people of Massachusetts, when you're paying $5 per gallon. Yeah. So if you got a SUV or a pickup truck with a 30-gallon tank, guess what? You're going to be dropping every time you want to fill up your tank about $130 per fill up.
I have a 24-gallon tank in my everyday car, and I filled it up the other day, Mark, and this is the first time I had to do a real full up in a while, because it was filled up before the gas started to go up. And I work out of the house a lot, right? So I didn't really have to fill it. And I got to tell you, it was $91. And that was
on a Cadillac?
No, there's a Mercedes. But the M class.
You got a 30-gallon tank in that Caddy?
Oh, the Cadillac. Oh, Judy May has. Jazz, what's the tank in that?
I think it's a 22.
22 in that. Jazz actually did a lot of work in the Cadillac. She redid the floors and the trunk, right? You did a lot with right, yeah. So she actually worked on Judy May. Last time I filled up her was over a month ago. And it was probably, I don't remember what it was, to tell you the truth, but the everyday car is an M-Class Mercedes, and that has a 24-gallon tank in it.
You know that the price of gas, that's a tax on the poor. You know that.
Well, look, Mark, you're preaching to the choir. I have always said this, folks, that the price of gas is the most unfair tax and unfair expense to the middle class, because if you're John Kerry with yachts and planes, it makes no difference to you. And if you are on programs, right, whether it's welfare, SSI, what have you, you're probably not working. It's not going to really make a difference. Who this hurts is the hourly guy or woman, or the salaried person with one or two kids, with these expenses, and the only way they can change it is to work overtimes or second job. You add another $30 a week to their gas that they have to. They don't have the option, Mark, of not spending it. They have to go to work. That adds up. Now you're talking a $1.30, $1.50 a month. That's the difference between the family having cable or not. That's the difference between the family taking a vacation. That's the difference between ballet lessons or football, etc. That hurts the middle class more than any other thing. And we got Charlie Baker, Governor Parker, as he's known, wants this TCI to be put in place with automatic gas, another 38 cents on the gallon. This is the most unfair tax that there is, and it hurts the middle class the most. I've been saying this for years. I don't understand why this is a difficult thing. When we had gas under $2, it was good. It worked. It helped. And not only when we had gas under $2, what else is going on? Blue collar wages under the Trump administration was also rising. Top end, but the blue collar households up, and we had the lowest unemployment in the history, especially for Latinos, Black women, etc.
I hear that Jen Psaki didn't make the trip to the G20 in Europe.
I did.
You know why she didn't make it?
Why?
You know why she didn't make it?
Go ahead. Why?
She's got COVID. That's why. She was fully vaccinated, and she still got COVID. That's why she couldn't go to the G20 summit.
Interesting.
That's why she's home. Huh?
I didn't hear that, but that's interesting.
Yeah. Hey, have a good one.
All right, Mark. Thank you very much. Funny. Okay, Jen Psaki. I did not hear that, folks. So I don't know if it's true, but if she has COVID fully vaccinated, that brings up another question, right? It's if you're vaccinated, can you pass it? Can you catch it? I don't know. That's not what this particular segment is on this show. 508-871-7000. Let's go to Ken. I assume in Bolton. Hey, Ken. Thank you. Welcome to the Monday show, man.
Thank you very much. And by the way, if a candidate calls up, cut me off.
Okay.
By all means, we'll talk to them first. But yeah, the Mark said Jen Psaki does have COVID and she is fully vaccinated.
Interesting.
But,
I mean, I hope she's okay and so forth. But she got COVID and she's fully vaccinated. Now the thing is, do they know? Did she get it exposed to somebody in the White House in around the president, or did she catch it outside of the White House?
Virtually everybody in her family has it.
Okay.
So that's the speculation.
So probably just went through her household.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Happens. All right. Well, she'll be, I'm assuming she'll be off the podium for a while.
Yeah, I would think at least 10 days.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see what one of the deputies come up. I'm assuming somebody's going to do as well or probably better than she can, Could you imagine having one of the who is it, McKaylee there? Trump's press secretary. What was her name? Now she's on the Fox and Friends. McKaylee, right? Yeah.
That's her first name. I'm getting the last name.
Yeah, McKaylee. Man, is she a sharp woman, right? She is a sharp person, and she did that job fantastic. And she didn't have to have a binder and circle back on everything.
Well, I wanted to cross over to the Boston mayoral election tomorrow.
George and Wu, yep.
Yeah. I don't follow it all that closely, but I was interested in hearing what the follow-up to my Saturday call Charles was saying. He seemed to be really up to speed on what's going on.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he's much more in tune to that. By the way, that reminds me, I'll be on his show tomorrow at noon on his he does I guess it's on YouTube, but it's a video call show. So I'll put the link and everything on my Facebook page and my Twitter account, folks. But 12 noon tomorrow, I'll be on the Charles Markowitz show with Charles. So thanks for reminding me about that, Ken. Yeah, he's a Boston area resident, and he's much more tuned into that. And that it's from him that I learned of Wu's connection to Elizabeth Warren, and that she used to work in her office, and she kind of considers herself a Warrenite, and is kind of setting her eyes for that Senate seat down the road at some point.
Yeah, just watching a little bit on the news. The thing I caught is before the September runoff or whatever they call it.
Mm-hmm.
She seemed to be, apple pie and everything nice, not really saying much. And then that night, as soon as it got down to 2 and she advanced, she turned hard left. She was extreme. I was like, what is going on here?
Well, she played right.
And-
She played the middle of the road in the general narrowing down the way they do it, and now she doesn't have to do that anymore because she needs to prove she's more left than George is now.
Well, I think the ties would suggest that she clearly is. I mean, if she worked with Elizabeth Warren, and apparently she's got close ties with Diana Presley, who endorsed her also.
Hey, Ken, you can hold on for a minute, but it's a different situation on Monday. We have hard breaks and that we got to hit. I got to take this break, folks. 508-871-7000. We'll be back. Ken will hold. Come back with Ken, and lines are open on the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Middlesex Box Drop Mattress Outlet Studios.
If you enjoy listening to Full Service Radio AM 830 WCRN, don't forget you can stream WCRN on your computer or on your phone at WCRNradio.com and on your Amazon Alexa by saying, Alexa, listen to WCRN. On the radio, in your car, on your computer or phone. We are Full Service Radio AM 830 WCRN.
We know why you're awake. Your child is about to get their driver's license. Levante's Auto School offers 1-week driving programs to help make sure your child stays safe and focused behind the wheel.
877 drive. Who's Ed?
That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Learn to drive safely and efficiently. Visit one of our 5 locations throughout Massachusetts. Click LevantesAutoSchool.com.
Levante's Auto School shows you how to learn the rules and keep your cool. 877 drive.
Who's Ed? That's the number for Levante's Auto School.
Hey folks, Joe Mangiacotti here, and I have recently purged and refreshed with new furniture and, most importantly, a new bed. We spend about a third of our life on our mattresses, and it's so vital we have the right one, and we don't break the bank to do that. I first bought a mattress from the big store the brothers used to own, and a power base that moved the head and feet, and then I met John, and I checked out his showroom at 50 Main Street in Ashland and online at boxdropmiddlesex.com, and ended up with a better mattress, a power base that also heats and massages, all for less than half of what I was going to spend at the other place. Box Drop is a discount mattress store, and John specializes outs, and he buys directly from the manufacturer with a low overhead and just family employees passing the savings on to you, and you can see it reflected in the price every day. Click boxdropmiddlesex.com or call John on his cell. This is his cell number, 508-579-9303. That's 508-579-9303. And you can find John on Facebook at Boxdrop Middlesex. John loves referrals, and this is the best referral I've given so far this year. Dropboxmiddlesex.com.
I want to tell you what Cantiani Insurance has been able to do for me and Teddy. We stopped in to see Paul Sr. and the great staff at 318 Plantation Street. They've been handling my car and business insurance for years. Teddy was making his way around the office, and they let me know they now offer pet insurance. For a fraction of what one visit to the vet was for Teddy, they could cover him for a whole year. I know you treat your furry family members like any other family member, and as well as I do Teddy. The professional staff at Cantiani's has been providing courteous service for over 40 years with integrity and personalized service, making sure that your insurance actually protects you and your family. With 2 locations, the 318 Plantation Street in Worcester and East Douglas Insurance Agency, located at 306 Main Street in Douglas. For home, auto, business insurance, and now pet insurance, click CantianiAgency.com or call 508-791-2088. 508-791-2088.
You're listening to the Joe Mangiacotti Show on Powerhouse Station WCRN and our affiliates. To talk to Joe, dial 508-871-7000, and you can text Joe on air in real time at 617-297-8388 or email textjoeontheradio@gmail.com. And now back to the most interesting man in the world. He brings a knife to a gunfight just to make the odds even. Common sense talk for the common sense citizen.
All right, welcome back to the 4th and final segment of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Box Drop Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. I like that one, Jazz. the knife to a
Yeah, that was
gunfight,
pretty
just to
funny.
make it even. That's pretty good. 508-871-7000 to join the conversation. Lines are open and available. Again, 508-871-7000. Don't forget, we are live streaming on our YouTube channel, The Joe Mangiacotti Show. So check it out. The audio is there, but also subscribe, please, to the YouTube channel while you're at it. And don't forget, we are live streaming on the TuneIn app. Punch in WCRN. You can take us anywhere on any device with TuneIn. That's how it works. And Joe Mangi Show, that's our handle on all our social media platforms. All right, on the line with us is Ken, who was on before the break. And again, I am just putting it out there. Any candidate who is on the ballot tomorrow, you're welcome to give a quick call. Tell us who you are, what you're running for, and why people should give you a shot at this. So you're welcome to that. That's kind of what radio's about, right? Getting the information out to everybody. So Ken, the interesting thing about this is, I don't know if you caught this, but Boston.com has the Wu campaign has asked TV stations not to run, in their word, of course from them, a dishonest ad from a pro-George supporter PAC. Michelle Wu's campaign is urging local TV stations against running an ad they say is false and defamatory from a super PAC supporting her mayoral general election opponent, Anissa George. The Dorchester Reporter reported a week ago that a lawyer representing the Wu campaign sent a cease and desist letter to local broadcast stations asking them against running the ad from the group Bostonians for Real Progress, which attacks Wu over the purchase of her Rosendale home. Now, this is the ad I've seen. I don't know if you've seen this. Apparently, this real estate group paid for half of her house. She could buy her house in Rosendale, and then when she was on the city council, they got through a big development, and they let her buy the other half of the house out. So you draw your own conclusions.
What grounds are there to censure political free speech?
Yeah.
It tells us a lot about Wu, doesn't it?
Well, there you go. But that we see this from the left all the time, right? As soon as
Absolutely.
we're having the attorney general go after parents who are against critical race theory, where his son-in-law is making millions off of selling critical race theory curriculum to Virginia schools. And that's not a story. You're only going to hear that here. You're going to hear it on Hannity. You're going to hear it on Tucker Carlson. You're going to hear it on Fox. You're not seeing it at Boston.com. You're not going to see it on CNN, MSNBC. They're not talking about this. Could you imagine if one of the Trump kids, or even if a Trump attorney general's son was making millions and they sicked the FBI? Again, I always liken it to the the mirror world. How would the media handle this if we replaced Hunter with Don Jr.? What would we see? It would blow your mind, because they go after these guys when they haven't done anything. They're perfectly legit. And you got to remember that these people, the Trump kids, were international business people and developers long before he even thought of becoming president. But they want to go after the Trump kids because there was a Trump bank account in a country they were trying to develop property in, which is usually a requirement, right? If you're going to do business in Dubai or China or Russia, you pretty much have to have a bank account to deal with the local businesses. That one in China they went after, Ken, that was closed in 2015, years before he was going to run for president. Go ahead.
I'm curious what you thought as to if we got a left mayor in Boston, how that stacks up compared to what we're familiar with. I mean, just in my lifetime, there's only been 4 mayors go all the way back to Kevin White,
Flynn,
City of Boston,
yep.
and there was Ray Flynn, Menino, and then most recently Walsh.
So the thing about I always thought it was interesting that Boston took 350 years to get an Italian mayor. Menino was the first Italian mayor. I mean, that just goes back to the history of Boston, that the Irish had understood the power of the ballot box a long, long time ago, right? They were immigrants. We have this large influx of Irish immigrants. The potato famine, there are more people claiming Irish descension in Boston than there are in living in Ireland today. And the and this is my mother's side of the family. They're all Irish. My grandparents are from Ladiesbridge County, Cork. And the Irish came here and they realized the ballot box, right? They were treated horribly. Some of them were indentured servants, and they made that connection. And that's why we had Irish ward bosses and Irish mayors in the history of Boston. It took 350 years to get an Italian mayor. And that's something, you know, that's pretty crazy. But you're right. We've had just a few mayors in our lifetime. And, you know, Monty Walsh, I wouldn't consider him too middle of the road either. But, you know, here he is, the Secretary of Labor. Given the cabinet, he's probably about as qualified to have that secretary spot as anybody else. I mean, is he any less qualified than Pete Buttigieg is to be transportation? You know, I mean, come on. So
yeah, but you see my point. These were a constituent level. You know,
Yeah.
you see them walking the street, and I don't see Wu as how she's setting up. I think she's looking to rattle cages and be radical.
Oh yeah.
Much like her.
Oh yeah.
Her,
Oh yeah, I think if Wu's in, where Boston is, as a matter of fact, the former, is it Bratton or Stratton, the former police commissioner, he's doing one for George, and he's saying, "Wake up, Boston! Wake up, Boston! You don't want to go radical. You don't want to defund the police. Do you want to see what happened in Minneapolis and in Portland and all these other places that have gone radically left and defunded the police? What has happened? Do you want that to happen to Boston?" And I think if Wu gets in, Boston's in for a lot of bad days in the future, because if she starts implementing and going along with the AG, right, and the DAs with this no bail and no charging and just going radically left and defunding police, you're going to ruin one of the greatest cities in the country, Boston. Where, by the way, right, Boston depends, as Massachusetts, the two top industries that we bounce back and forth is bio research and tourism. Tourism is huge, right? I mean, the millions of people that go to Faneuil Hall alone, I don't think people understand how big of a tourist attraction Faneuil Hall is. And we've got Plymouth Plantation, you got the Freedom Trail, Old North, I can go through it all. The point is tourism is a massive economic driver in Massachusetts, in Boston especially. And if Boston becomes a dangerous city, a city you don't feel safe in, a city where, like these other cities, right, where people are just being knocked down on the street, right? When we look at headlines, Loudoun County woman dies after husband alleged hammer attack. Nurse dies after she knocked down to ground in Times Square. New York City woman dies after down a subway station stairs. If that's the kind of headlines that we start to see out of Boston, and it starts to affect the tourism, which it is, because who's going to come to Boston if you're taking your life in your hands? There'll be a big problem. And I think people need to pay attention to that aspect of this when you go to the polls tomorrow in Boston.
Well, not only that, but there's a TV show about the Boston police. So they would actually lose a bunch of funding for the police itself, but from a TV program.
That's right. What is that show? There is one, right? It's called Emergency or 911 or something. Boston. Ken, do you know what we're talking about?
I think it's like
it's the cameras following around EMS and Boston Police, right?
Yeah.
And I think Wahlberg's behind that, right? Isn't that the Wahlbergs?
I'm not sure if it.
I think Donnie Wahlberg or they're the ones behind it. They're the producers. So you'll go look it up. Yeah. So point is, if Boston takes a left turn, Ken, it will affect the tourism, and that's the number one or number two, depending. Again, those two industries bounce back and forth between the number one industry in the state.
Boston's Finest, and it is produced by Donnie Wahlberg.
All right, Boston's Finest, Donnie Wahlberg. Yeah, that's I caught a little bit of it once. I don't even know when it's on or what channel's carrying it. Is that a TNT or one of these Paramount things, or who is it?
It is a TNT. It's a Warner Brothers.
All right. So there you go. I probably should check it out. But point is, if we go left, Ken, like Wu, if Boston goes Wu tomorrow, we're in trouble. Boston's in trouble. You better buckle up.
And
guys.
Joe, as a preview, what about next year governor's race? If the Baker doesn't run, we're not that crazy about Baker, but I mean, we could get a Wu type candidate as governor. How far left would the attorney general go if she ran and were to win?
Yeah. Absolutely. So, here's the warning to the state GOP. Stop messing around and get serious, folks. You got to get serious. The problem with they just don't get candidates elected, really. And not just the governorship, okay? Because every once in a while we get the Republican governor or quasi-Republican governor. State GOP, you need to get reps, state senators, and start getting candidates in the farm team on the school committees and these city councils and even town selectmen, because that's where they come from. And the Democratic Party does it well, and the GOP does not do it well. Right. And that just comes back to the difference between how they run. But hey, Ken, thanks for the call. We're coming up to the end of the Monday edition of the Joe Mangiacotti Show from the Boxtrot Middlesex Mattress Outlet Studios. That was a quick hour, Jess, right? We went fast for the first Monday show. So this isn't my week on Political Thursday, so I will be Saturday morning, 6 o'clock. Thanks for stopping in, guys.
This